dear friend. Have you ever felt like your thoughts keep spinning endlessly in your mind, preventing you from relaxing and falling asleep? The worries, the concerns seem to linger, making the night feel even longer and heavier. But did you know that in the shadows of psychology, there are secrets that can help you take control of those thoughts, gently guiding you into a peaceful sleep without worry or stress? In today's video, we will explore some of the darker psychological tactics, those subtle tricks that are often hard to notice, but have the power to change the way you perceive yourself and the world around you. Get ready to step into this fascinating world, where we'll not only uncover ways to sleep better, but also delve into the deep, mysterious corners of the mind. Don't forget to subscribe to the Smart Sleep channel so you don't miss out on any of these secrets. After exploring subtle psychological tactics and how they influence our behavior, I want to introduce you to a fascinating and powerful concept in psychology, the Ben Franklin effect. This is an incredibly useful phenomenon in everyday life, especially when you want to build lasting relationships, create trust, or even in important negotiations. Let me walk you through why this effect is so powerful and how it can help us in specific situations. The Ben Franklin effect is a psychological phenomenon where, when someone does you a small favor, they are more likely to help you again in the future. This might sound simple, but in reality, it's based on a profound principle of human psychology. When someone helps you, instead of simply thinking that they are doing it out of duty or obligation, they convince themselves that their actions stem from liking you. This is the key point of the Ben Franklin effect. Helping someone is not just a simple action, but a way for the helper to affirm their own positive feelings toward you. The story behind this effect comes from a famous situation in history, when Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the United States, realized that if someone does something good for you, they are more likely to feel a connection and goodwill toward you. Specifically, Franklin used this strategically to build relationships with his political opponents. Instead of trying to persuade them with words or actions, Franklin would ask for small favors, such as borrowing a book. The result was that not only did they help him, but they also began to view him more positively. This shows the magical power of small acts of kindness in building relationships and persuading others. What's interesting is that when someone helps you, they aren't just doing it because of you, they're doing it because of themselves. Human psychology has a powerful self-protection mechanism. We don't like feeling like we're the bad guy, and we certainly don't want to feel that we're doing something just out of obligation. When we help someone, we tend to convince ourselves that we're doing it because we like them, respect them, or feel a special connection with them. This is the psychological mechanism behind the Ben Franklin effect, and it can be applied in many situations, from personal relationships to work, negotiations, and leadership. Imagine a work scenario. You're working with a colleague who you're not particularly close to. One day, they ask for your help with a small task, like assisting with a project or providing some documents. You help them out, either because you feel responsible or simply want to be kind. However, after you assist them, you may notice that this colleague starts to be more positive toward you. They might greet you more often, or even offer help when you need it. They may not realize it, but their change in attitude toward you is the result of their own action helping you. They will convince themselves that they like you, and from that, they'll be more likely to help you again in the future. This is the power of the Ben Franklin effect. Similarly, in personal relationships, when you ask someone for help, even with something small, you're not only receiving assistance, but also building an emotional connection with them. When they help you, they will naturally feel closer to you because the act of helping creates a connection not just with you, but with their own emotions. The help they offer makes them feel like they have a bond with you. And in their mind, the action isn't just out of obligation, but because they genuinely have goodwill and empathy toward you. The Ben Franklin effect isn't just limited to asking for help, it can also be applied in negotiations and leadership. Good leaders understand that building relationships with their teams isn't just about giving orders or making requests, but also about allowing them to participate in decisions and work together. When you help someone, they'll feel more responsible and naturally create a connection with you. This creates a solid foundation for cooperation and trust. Even in business negotiations, helping a partner with a small issue can build greater trust and foster future agreements. When the partner feels they've received help from you, they'll automatically feel more friendly and be more willing to collaborate with you in the future. However, while the Ben Franklin effect can be beneficial in building relationships, it can also be manipulated in certain situations. A manipulator could use small favors to create a false sense of connection, thereby controlling others in a subtle way. For example, someone might help you in a small situation but expect you to do much more in the future, creating an imbalanced relationship where you always feel indebted and forced to fulfill further demands. The effect can be exploited in situations where a manipulator wants to maintain control by creating a false sense of connection that is not built on genuine goodwill, but on clever exploitation. To effectively cope with the Ben Franklin effect, we need to recognize that helping others doesn't always mean building a sustainable relationship. It could simply be a psychological tactic. When you realize you might be manipulated, make sure that you're helping out of respect and goodwill, not because you feel coerced or manipulated. For a relationship to be truly lasting and trustworthy, the help given must come from sincerity, not from creating a sense of debt or control. The Ben Franklin effect is one of the most powerful psychological tools for building relationships, promoting cooperation, and establishing trust. However, like any psychological tactic, it must be used skillfully and responsibly. When you understand how this effect works, you can use it to build sincere, lasting relationships, while also being able to recognize when it's being abused and could harm your freedom and interests. At that point, you'll be able to use this tactic intelligently and responsibly, helping to create a better community, work environment, and society. The Ben Franklin effect highlights an important psychological principle. The act of helping can create feelings of attachment and goodwill, which is why we tend to like people we've helped or who have done something good for us. When someone helps you with a small task, whether it's lending you a book, assisting with work, or simply listening to you, they don't just do it out of obligation. They convince themselves that their action is an expression of liking and goodwill towards you. This feeling makes them more likely to help you again in the future, because in their mind, you are no longer a stranger, but someone they feel close to, someone deserving of attention and support. The interesting thing is that you can also apply this effect to build relationships and create goodwill with others. In situations like negotiations or leadership, when you want to build trust and positive connections, asking for a small favor can be a very effective tactic. For example, in a negotiation, instead of directly asking your partner to do something major, you can start with a small, insignificant request, which will make them feel more connected and willing to support your larger requests in the future. This not only builds trust, but also makes the other person feel respected and understood, increasing the likelihood of success in achieving mutual goals. In leadership environments, the Ben Franklin effect plays an important role in team building and fostering collaboration. Leadership isn't just about issuing orders or making decisions, it's about creating connection and shared purpose within a team. When you ask a team member to help with a small task, such as contributing ideas or supporting a specific project, you not only give them the chance to showcase their abilities but also help them feel connected and responsible to you. They'll convince themselves that they help you because they trust you and feel aligned with you. This creates a more effective working environment and strengthens the leadership-member relationship. This effect is not just useful in collaborative or negotiation settings, but is also a vital tool in building personal relationships. When you ask someone for help, even with something small, you create an opportunity for them to view you more positively. They'll start to think they helped not just because you asked, but because they genuinely wanted to do something good for you, and as a result, the bond between you will grow stronger. This is why when we are helped, we often feel gratitude and don't want to turn down the person who helped us in the future. This help doesn't just make us feel responsible, but also creates an emotional connection between us and the helper. However, like any psychological tactic, the Ben Franklin effect can be manipulated in certain situations. A manipulator may take advantage of this effect by creating a false sense of connection, subtly controlling others. For example, someone may offer you a small favor but expect much more from you in the future, thus creating an imbalanced relationship where you feel indebted and obligated to fulfill their requests. Understanding the Ben Franklin effect helps you recognize when it's being used manipulatively, allowing you to maintain independence and protect your personal interests. So, how can you use the Ben Franklin effect wisely and effectively? The answer is to apply it in sincere, respectful relationships. Use this effect to build trust, create connections, and strengthen relationships, not to manipulate others. When you help someone, ensure you truly want to do so. And when you receive help from someone, remember that this help isn't just a duty, it's an action reflecting connection and goodwill. The Ben Franklin effect is one of the most powerful psychological strategies for building relationships, fostering cooperation, and convincing others without force or coercion. However, like any psychological tactic, it must be used thoughtfully and responsibly. When you understand how this effect works and use it appropriately, you'll be able to create enduring, trustworthy relationships, benefiting both work and personal life. After exploring subtle and powerful psychological tactics, today I want to share with you one of the most fascinating psychological phenomena, one that can change the way you view yourself and others: the Pygmalion effect. This is an effect that can strongly influence behavior and outcomes in our everyday lives, especially in relationships such as education, leadership, and even personal relationships. Let's dive into why the expectations of others can become such a powerful motivator. The Pygmalion effect, also known as the expectation effect, is a miraculous psychological phenomenon that we can apply in many areas. It suggests that when others have high expectations of you, you tend to perform better. Simply put, if someone believes in your abilities, they will treat you differently, create more opportunities for you, and encourage you to surpass yourself. Many studies have shown that when teachers, leaders, or anyone else believes in you, they will provide you with more opportunities, support, and encouragement, which helps you become more confident and capable of achieving better results. You've probably experienced the feeling of someone believing in you and having high expectations. At that moment, you may feel driven, not just by yourself, but also by the expectation they have for you. Their expectation isn't just about trusting your abilities. It's a strong motivator that helps you push beyond limits you never thought possible. For example, in an educational setting, when a teacher believes in a student's abilities, they will spend extra time guiding them, create opportunities for the student to express themselves, and as a result, the student becomes more confident and strives harder in their studies. Similarly, in the workplace, when a leader believes in an employee's potential, they will assign important tasks, provide growth opportunities, and as a result, the employee feels valued and works even harder. One of the most famous studies on the Pygmalion effect was conducted by Professor Robert Rosenthal and Lenore Jacobson in the 1960 seconds. The study, known as the Teacher's Expectation Study, divided a class into two groups. One group was expected to make significant progress throughout the school year, while the other group received no special expectations. The final results were surprising. The group that was expected to improve actually performed better than the other group, even though the initial differences between the groups were minimal. This proves that a teacher's expectations not only affect how they teach, but also influence how students learn and develop. What's magical about the Pygmalion effect is that it's not just about external influence. It also involves a deep psychological mechanism inside. When others believe in you, you feel responsible and motivated to meet their expectations, which increases your chances of success. That belief makes you feel capable of achieving things you never thought possible. And as a result, you keep striving to prove yourself. In these situations, the other person doesn't need to say much. Just their expectations and appropriate support are enough to bring about a major change in how you act and what you achieve. However, the Pygmalion effect doesn't always lead to positive outcomes. While this effect can motivate us to reach our full potential, it can also lead to failure when expectations are set too high. This is one reason why we sometimes fail to meet goals or achieve success as others expect. The downside of the Pygmalion effect is the golem effect, where low expectations from others can cause us to fail. When someone doesn't believe in your abilities or thinks you can't succeed, you may feel a lack of motivation, low self-confidence, or even a sense of helplessness. This feeling reduces your performance, making it harder for you to push yourself and potentially leading to giving up. The golem effect is the dark side of the Pygmalion effect, where low expectations from others can make you feel incapable. This often happens in family relationships, work, or education. A teacher who doesn't believe in a student's abilities may unintentionally create an environment where the student feels neglected and unencouraged. In the workplace, a leader who doesn't believe in an employee's potential creates a demotivating atmosphere, making the employee feel undervalued and incapable of fulfilling assigned tasks. So, how can we effectively harness the Pygmalion effect? First, we need to acknowledge that expectations hold immense power and can change how we act and achieve success. When you are a leader or a mentor, setting high but realistic expectations can create a powerful motivator for those around you. They will feel a sense of responsibility and motivation to meet those expectations. And as a result, they will work harder, be more creative, and achieve remarkable successes. In education, if you are a teacher, trust in your students' abilities, encourage them, and create opportunities for them to showcase their talents. Positive expectations will help them realize their full potential. However, applying the Pygmalion effect also requires caution. Unrealistically high expectations can lead to unnecessary pressure and result in failure. If you set expectations too high without proper support, others may feel overwhelmed and unable to meet those demands. It's important to ensure that your expectations align with the actual abilities and potential of the person you are setting expectations for. High, yet realistic expectations, coupled with continuous support, will be the key to creating positive outcomes. It's also important to remember that the Pygmalion effect doesn't just affect the behavior of others, but it also influences ourselves. When you set expectations for yourself, you tend to put in more effort to achieve your goals. Confidence in your own abilities can propel you to overcome challenges and barriers in life. When you believe you can succeed, you find the motivation to achieve what once seemed impossible. The Pygmalion effect is not just a theory, it's an essential part of everyday life. It's a powerful tool that helps us change how we perceive ourselves and others, pushing us forward to achieve great successes. When you understand the power of expectations, you not only help yourself achieve outstanding accomplishments, but also help others realize their full potential. Remember, belief and expectations are the keys to unlocking success in any field. After we've explored profound aspects of human psychology through effects like the Ben Franklin effect and Pygmalion effect, today I want to introduce you to another fascinating concept in behavior change: negative reinforcement. This is a psychological technique with incredible power in shaping behavior, but it must be understood and used carefully to avoid misuse. Negative reinforcement is a technique that encourages behavior by removing an unwanted factor. When you hear negative reinforcement, you might think of punishment or pressure, but in reality, it's not always as negative as it sounds. Negative reinforcement involves reducing or eliminating an undesirable factor such as discomfort, pressure, or something that makes a person feel uneasy to encourage positive behavior. It differs from punishment because instead of adding something bad to an unwanted behavior, negative reinforcement creates motivation by removing an existing negative factor. For example, in a learning situation, if a student doesn't complete an assignment on time and the teacher decides not to require the student to take a makeup test if they finish the assignment the following week, removing that pressure is a form of negative reinforcement. In this case, the student feels that if they take the positive action, completing the assignment, they will avoid the negative consequence, the makeup test. This is not punishment but a way to encourage positive behavior by removing an uncomfortable factor. Negative reinforcement can be very effective in developing good habits and improving behavior. In the workplace, if an employee completes their work on time and is not asked to work overtime, this can encourage them to maintain that positive behavior in the future. Reducing discomfort, coercion, or other negative factors helps the person feel less pressure, making it easier to stay committed and productive. In family relationships, negative reinforcement can also be applied effectively. If a parent promises not to scold their children anymore if they follow the house rules, removing the negative punishment will help the children understand that they can avoid discomfort by exhibiting good behavior, rather than coercing and applying pressure. Negative reinforcement helps everyone in the family understand that they can earn recognition and praise by simply doing what is expected of them. However, while this technique can help improve behavior in many situations, it also has a downside that we need to recognize and be cautious about. Negative reinforcement, when not used properly, can lead to manipulation and blind compliance, simply because people want to avoid discomfort. This is particularly evident in unhealthy relationships, where one person may use this technique to maintain control over the other. In such cases, negative reinforcement no longer encourages positive behavior. Instead, it becomes a tool for forcing the other person to comply with their demands, just to avoid facing discomfort, insecurity, or criticism. An example of how negative reinforcement can be exploited is in a relationship between two people. If one person asks the other to do something, but instead of directly requesting it, they create an environment full of pressure or tension, they may use negative reinforcement to force the other person to do what they want. For instance, If someone asks their partner to help with housework, but says, "If you don't help me, I'll feel really sad and disappointed," they are using guilt and discomfort to encourage the desired behavior. This is a classic example of exploiting negative reinforcement to manipulate, making the other person feel responsible and forcing them to do something they don't want to, just to avoid guilt or discomfort. Similarly, in the workplace, a leader could misuse negative reinforcement by creating a tense environment where employees always feel pressured. For example, a leader might say, "If you don't complete the work on time, you'll have to work overtime or face a reprimand." While this could be a way to encourage employees to complete their tasks, if the leader uses this discomfort as a tool to maintain power, it could become a form of psychological manipulation. Employees might only do their work out of fear of punishment rather than out of enthusiasm and commitment. The key here is to recognize the motivation and impact of using negative reinforcement. The difference between using negative reinforcement responsibly and abusing it is clear. When negative reinforcement is used to encourage positive behaviors in a supportive, healthy environment, it can be a powerful tool. However, when it is used to maintain compliance and control in an unhealthy way, it becomes a form of manipulation, making others act to avoid discomfort rather than from a positive drive. How can we use negative reinforcement effectively without misusing it? The answer lies in consideration and respect within relationships. Remember, the goal of negative reinforcement is not to create coercion or control, but to help others develop positive habits in a supportive environment. When you apply this technique, ensure that you are not just removing discomfort, but also providing opportunities for growth so the other person feels motivated to improve voluntarily. Once you recognize that negative reinforcement can be both a powerful tool for building positive habits and a tactic that can be abused in manipulative relationships, you'll be able to use it wisely and responsibly. This is the key to keeping relationships free from pressure and instead fostering understanding and mutual support. When used properly, negative reinforcement can be a transformative tool, not only in the workplace, but in personal life as well, helping create a supportive environment where everyone can grow together. Having explored many subtle and powerful psychological tactics, today I want to take you to another aspect of human behavior: false flattery. While it may not always be easy to spot, this technique wields great power in manipulating and influencing the behavior of others. Let's explore why insincere praise can be harmful in relationships and how we can recognize and deal with it. False flattery is a psychological tactic where people use excessive or insincere compliments to please others in order to achieve a specific goal. When you hear false flattery, you might immediately think of empty praise, sweet words that don't hold any real meaning. In reality, while these compliments may make the recipient feel good, comfortable, or even proud for a brief moment, they often lack true value. The purpose behind these false compliments is to create dependency, to make the recipient feel they need praise, attention, and approval from others. Over time, this makes them emotionally vulnerable, easily manipulated, and more likely to fulfill demands they don't genuinely want to, just to keep receiving that praise. Think about a situation in your daily life where you receive a compliment that doesn't seem truly sincere. Perhaps at work, a colleague tells you, "You're the best worker on the team," even though you know your performance wasn't outstanding. Or, in a personal relationship, someone says, "You're the only person I can trust," even though you sense their words don't reflect real feelings or respect. At first, you may feel happy and proud of the compliment, but gradually, you'll realize that the words were merely designed to make you feel comfortable for a moment, so they could achieve their goal. This technique can be easily exploited in toxic relationships, especially in the workplace or unhealthy relationships. When someone uses false flattery, they aren't just complimenting you, they want to control your behavior. Insincere praise will make you feel like you have to respond, that you must do what they ask, and from there, they can get you to do things you don't want to do. This creates an emotional dependence that you might not immediately recognize. Over time, you may become someone who always tries to please others, just to receive compliments and recognition, without realizing you are being manipulated and used. You might wonder, why do people use false flattery? The answer is simple. Humans have a natural need to be recognized and liked. None of us want to feel neglected, unimportant, or overlooked. And in relationships with emotional uncertainty, false flattery becomes a powerful tool to keep others feeling important, even though it may not be true. Those who use false flattery understand this need and exploit it to create dependency. They know that you will be more likely to do what they want if you feel recognized and praised. However, the biggest issue with false flattery is that it's not just empty words. It can deeply damage your self-confidence and sense of self-worth. When you only do things to receive praise, you begin to feel like you can't live without it, and gradually, you lose yourself. You no longer act for your own sake, but to receive recognition from others. This can make you feel empty, because no matter how much praise you get, you'll never truly feel enough. Another example of false flattery is in romantic relationships. If someone uses false flattery to gain your attention, they may begin to shower you with excessive compliments, making you feel confident and loved by them. This might feel good for a time, but when you begin to act according to their requests just to maintain that attention and praise, you'll realize that what you're receiving isn't genuine love, it's emotional manipulation. Certainly, you can also recognize false flattery in the workplace. In these situations, the person using false praise might compliment you for a minor action or insignificant achievement just to make you feel responsible for them. They might say, "You're the only one in the team capable of completing this task," to make you feel obligated and ready to do whatever they ask. They're not truly complimenting you for your skills, they simply want you to feel like you need to do something to keep receiving that recognition. The problem with false flattery is that it can make you feel confused about yourself. You may start to wonder if the praise is truly deserved, or if it's just a strategy someone is using to control your behavior. When you realize that these compliments aren't genuine, you may experience a sense of emptiness, confusion about your own self-worth, and a loss of the confidence you once had. It's important to identify false flattery and understand the motives behind it. Once you realize that these compliments aren't born from sincerity but are rather a tool for manipulation, you'll be better equipped to handle them. You'll come to understand that you don't need to please anyone to feel valuable. True recognition only comes when you work for your own goals, not for the praise of others. How do we deal with false flattery? The answer lies in developing self-confidence and self-awareness. When you believe in your own abilities and act for personal goals, you won't be easily swept into someone else's psychological game. To identify and deal with false flattery, start by examining the motives of the person praising you. Are they genuinely complimenting you for your skills and qualities, or are they trying to make you feel indebted to them? Ask yourself these questions and don't let hollow compliments fool your emotions or thoughts. When you realize that false flattery is not true recognition but merely a manipulation tool, you will no longer feel dependent on it. You won't feel pressured to follow someone's demands just to maintain their praise. Instead, You'll live in a way that feels right for you, and only then will you truly feel happy and free. False flattery may give you temporary happiness, but it cannot build genuine and lasting relationships. Once you know how to identify it, you will never have to rely on false praise to feel your self-worth. Always remember that true recognition comes from doing good things for yourself, not for praise from others. After we've explored many subtle and powerful psychological tactics, today I want to introduce you to another psychological principle, often used in debates and communication: the false equivalence fallacy. This is a technique people often use when they want to compare two dissimilar things or situations in an attempt to blur the differences between them. Understanding this principle will not only help you recognize manipulation tactics, but also protect yourself when facing debates or conflicts. False equivalence is a psychological manipulation technique where people try to compare two things that aren't truly equivalent in order to downplay the differences or divert attention. The reason why this tactic is effective is that when people see a comparison between two things, they often automatically assume that the two must have some kind of similarity, even if they're actually quite different. This technique not only helps the person using it obscure the truth, but can also lead others to be persuaded by an inaccurate argument. The purpose behind using false equivalence is often to make the listener accept unfair comparisons, leading them to make misguided decisions or change their perspective irrationally. A simple example of false equivalence could be in political debates, when someone defends a policy by comparing it to another, even though the two policies have little in common. For example, someone might compare an education reform policy with an environmental policy, saying, both policies have a major impact on society, so they should be considered together. While this might seem like a reasonable comparison, the two issues are completely different in nature, goals, and impact. Therefore, comparing them is invalid when evaluating the policies. The person using false equivalence tries to convince the listener that both policies are similar to lead to a wrong conclusion or distract attention from more important factors. One common tactic in debates is when someone uses false equivalence to downplay the seriousness of an issue. For example, when discussing ethical issues, one might use false equivalence to minimize the severity of a wrongful action. A person might say, riding a horse without a helmet is dangerous, but driving a car without wearing a seatbelt is the same. While both situations involve a lack of safety, the dangers are not the same. Riding a horse without a helmet could lead to far more serious injuries than driving without a seatbelt. So, this comparison is unfair. However, by comparing two non-equivalent situations, the listener might feel that both aren't serious and that no safety measures are necessary. False equivalence is often seen in political debates, where opponents try to compare social, economic, or environmental issues in ways that make them appear similar. In a debate about tax cuts, one person might say, tax cuts for the rich are necessary. Just like tax cuts for businesses, they will both help the economy grow. While these two issues may seem similar, they are very different. Cutting taxes for businesses can stimulate investment and job creation, while cutting taxes for the rich may not have a clear impact on the economy. However, the person using false equivalence tries to convince the listener that the two have the same goal and outcome, leading to a mistaken conclusion. The danger of false equivalence lies not only in distorting the truth, but also in its ability to pull the listener into a flawed argument, leading to irrational decisions and actions. We all know that comparing people to one another is inappropriate, as each individual has unique characteristics and circumstances. However, when false equivalence appears in these relationships, it can cause one person to feel inadequate or burdened with unrealistic expectations. For example, if someone constantly compares you to someone else to criticize you, they might make you feel like you're not good enough. They might say, "Why aren't you like that other person who always does outstanding work?" This is a false equivalence, as each person can have different circumstances, abilities, and challenges. In the workplace, false equivalence can also occur when a manager uses this tactic to create comparisons between employees in order to push them to work harder. For instance, a leader might say, "Why don't you work like your colleague? They always get their tasks done quickly and efficiently." While that colleague might be very competent, the comparison is unfair because each person has unique strengths and challenges. However, using false equivalence can make you feel insecure, and you may end up working just to meet someone else's expectations, rather than developing in your own way. The false equivalence fallacy is a common and deceptive psychological tactic used to mislead others by presenting two unequal things as if they were similar, making it harder to distinguish the actual differences. This kind of manipulation can easily occur in various important decisions, such as investments, consumption, or lifestyle changes. When you get caught up in such unfair comparisons, you might make decisions that aren't actually sound, believing you're doing the right thing. This can lead to unwanted outcomes, such as wasting time, money, and energy on things that aren't truly valuable. When faced with a false equivalence, it's crucial to stay alert and ask yourself whether the two objects or situations being compared are genuinely comparable. Sometimes, simply pausing to think can help you realize that the comparison is unfounded, allowing you to avoid falling into psychological manipulation. Always check the logic and validity of any comparison before accepting or acting on it. When you recognize a false equivalence, you'll be able to stay grounded and make more reasonable and informed decisions in your life. False equivalence is a subtle tactic, often used to manipulate others' perceptions, blurring the distinctions between two things to distract them or mislead them into accepting invalid arguments. If you fail to recognize it, you could easily be drawn into incorrect reasoning, leading to illogical conclusions. Always remember that fair and rational comparisons should be based on real and significant differences, not on tactics that manipulate emotions or obscure the truth. After we've explored various powerful psychological tactics, from false flattery to false equivalence, today I want to introduce you to another fascinating principle in psychology, one that significantly impacts our decisions and choices in life: the contrast principle. This is a widely used tactic in marketing, sales, and negotiations. When you understand how it works, you'll be able to recognize and respond more effectively in situations that influence your behavior and emotions. The contrast principle is a powerful psychological tactic that alters how people evaluate a choice based on other options presented before it. In simple terms, when you are faced with two options or situations, and one less attractive option is shown first, the second option will immediately appear much more appealing to you. This is how the contrast principle influences our thinking and decisions, making less attractive choices seem less important while boosting the appeal of better options, sometimes making them appear far more attractive than they truly are. Let's imagine a situation in a store where you're deciding which shirt to buy. The salesperson might first show you a very expensive shirt, perhaps one that costs double the price of the shirt you were planning to buy. After seeing that expensive shirt, the moderately priced shirt, which isn't particularly special, now seems far more attractive to you. You'll feel that this shirt is a reasonable compromise because it's much cheaper compared to the first one. In reality, the shirt may not be any better than other options, but due to the contrast with the expensive shirt, it becomes a great deal in your mind. This is how the contrast principle works, and it can be observed in many situations in our daily lives. The contrast principle is easy to spot in marketing and sales strategies, where stores and manufacturers know that presenting a less appealing option makes their other products stand out more. For instance, when you visit a mobile phone store, you might be shown a very expensive, newly released phone. Then, the salesperson might show you an older, much cheaper model. While the older phone might not be bad, it becomes far more appealing when compared to the pricey one, making you feel it offers better value for your money. This is a classic example of using the contrast principle to make a lower-priced phone seem like a bargain. In negotiations, the contrast principle also plays a significant role. Someone might use this tactic when making requests or offers to make what they really want seem more attractive to the other party. For example, if you're negotiating to buy an expensive item, you might start by asking for a price much higher than what you're actually willing to pay. When you finally present the price you want, it seems much more reasonable in comparison to your initial, higher request. The sense of getting a discount will make your counterpart feel they're getting a good deal, even though the final price could still be higher than the true value of the item. In personal relationships, the contrast principle can also be used to create a comparison that benefits one person, making others perceive someone or a situation unfairly. A simple example could be in a work conversation, where a friend compares two colleagues, one who is the super hard worker with excellent results, and the other who just does okay. Although both may work hard, the comparison makes the second person seem much less impressive, reducing their value in the eyes of the listener. This creates a false comparison, and the contrast principle can make the first person appear much better than they really are, causing others to evaluate the second person unfairly. The contrast principle doesn't just affect decision-making in shopping or work. It can also impact how we assess ourselves. We can be influenced by comparing ourselves to others' successes, especially when someone else's achievements seem particularly outstanding. For example, if you see a friend achieve great success at work or in life, you might feel inadequate by comparison, as the natural comparison makes your friend's accomplishments seem much more impressive. However, when you look at your own smaller successes in this context, you might feel like they aren't worthwhile, even though they're the result of significant effort. When dealing with the contrast principle, it's crucial to stay aware and recognize that this kind of comparison isn't always fair. We can't evaluate everything based on random comparisons. Always remember that your decisions should be based on a clear understanding of the choices at hand, not on emotional comparisons or psychological manipulation tactics. You have the right to make decisions based on what's best for you, without being swayed by outside influences that don't actually reflect the true value of what you're considering. By identifying when the contrast principle is being used, you'll be able to make smarter, more informed decisions without being tricked by unfair comparisons. The contrast principle isn't always a bad tactic. When used properly, it can help clarify choices and lead to more rational decisions. However, it can also become a powerful tool in the hands of those who want to manipulate or influence you. Always stay alert, and don't let strategies like this take away your independence in thought and action. Remember that your choices should always be based on clear, fair understanding, not just because one option seems more appealing after a biased comparison. After we have explored many complex and powerful psychological tactics, today I want to share with you an even more interesting and profound method of influencing human behavior: intermittent reinforcement. This is a technique commonly used across various fields, from personal relationships to gambling, and even on social media platforms we use daily. When you understand this method, you'll realize that it can have a huge impact on human psychology and behavior in ways that we sometimes don't even notice. Intermittent reinforcement is a technique that uses inconsistent rewards to create addiction. This means that instead of giving a reward consistently and predictably, the reward is given unpredictably, and the recipient doesn't know when the next reward will come. This uncertainty creates a continuous expectation, and the more they don't know when the reward will arrive, the more dependent they become on that search. This is why this method is so effective in creating addiction, not just in gambling games, but also in relationships or on social media platforms where we are bombarded with notifications, likes, and comments. This feeling is not new to any of us. You've probably experienced the excitement of checking your phone and seeing a new notification. Maybe it's a message, a like on a post, or a cute comment from someone, whether you truly need it or not. This feeling creates a small moment of satisfaction, but it also makes you want to search more, keep checking your phone, and seek out more of that validation. This method can be extremely effective in keeping users coming back to a social platform, making them unable to look away from the screen, trapped in an endless cycle. As you can see, when you can't predict when the next reward will come, you keep searching for it. This feeling originates from uncertainty, and we all know that the human brain is very easily attracted to the unpredictable. We become dependent on the temporary satisfaction that each reward brings, but this also traps us in a continuous search for more, never feeling fully satisfied. This feeling can lead us to spend a lot of time and effort on a goal, simply because we hope to receive the next reward, even though it might happen very rarely. In relationships, intermittent reinforcement can be used to create psychological dependency. One person might intentionally use this method to make the other feel that they can't live without them. For example, someone might not always respond to your attention, not always willing to spend time with you, but whenever they do, you feel extremely happy and satisfied. This makes you always look forward to their next attention, because you don't know when they will show you those affectionate actions again. It's the unpredictability and the unexpected nature of this behavior that makes you want to try harder, do more, to earn that attention, even though you know this is not how a healthy relationship should function. Intermittent reinforcement is also the basis of gambling games. Gamblers are well aware that they don't know when they'll win, but the excitement and anticipation of the reward keep them coming back, regardless of the failures they've experienced. The player cannot predict when they will win, and it's this uncertainty that keeps them playing, hoping that the next time will be the big win. This method creates addiction within the players, as they cannot take their eyes off the chance to win, even though the odds of winning might be very low. Another interesting example can be seen in how social media platforms operate. You've likely experienced the constant notifications about likes, comments, or shares on your posts. This doesn't always happen, but each time you receive a new like or a positive comment, you feel happy and satisfied. It's the unpredictability of these notifications that creates a constant expectation. Each time you check your phone, you don't know if there's something new or not. And it's this anticipation, even though it's not always fulfilled, that keeps you coming back, scrolling, and getting caught up in the cycle of seeking validation from social media. With all these examples, you can see that intermittent reinforcement can easily create addiction. The uncertainty of the next reward makes people feel the need to keep searching, even though they don't always get what they want. Our brain is programmed to search for gratification, and when it can't predict when the next satisfaction will come, we want to keep searching, trying harder. So how can we recognize and effectively respond to this method? First, understanding how intermittent reinforcement works is crucial. When you realize that you're getting caught up in a cycle of seeking satisfaction from unstable factors, you need to stay alert and recognize that relying on these elements doesn't bring lasting value. Every time you get recognition, a like, or a comment, you might feel happy instantly. But if you live only for these fleeting moments of satisfaction, you may feel empty when you don't receive them. Seek satisfaction from deeper things, such as sincere relationships and long-term goals, rather than chasing after short-term rewards. Second, when you notice that either you or someone else is affected by intermittent reinforcement, remember that uncertainty doesn't always lead to something good. Sometimes, unstable relationships, uncertain games, or social media habits can make you feel deprived. But you can't let yourself get swept up in these cycles without clearly recognizing them. Seek true values in life and realize that stability and lasting satisfaction are the most important things. Lastly, focus on building positive relationships and habits instead of becoming dependent on intermittent rewards. When you understand the method of intermittent reinforcement, you'll be able to master your emotions and behavior, creating a happier and more balanced life. Not always chasing after short-term rewards, but finding satisfaction in things that are sustainable and long-lasting. After we have explored powerful psychological tactics like intermittent reinforcement and contrast principle, today we will delve into another very powerful and commonly used psychological tactic in communication, negotiation, or even personal relationships. It's called the fear then relief trick. When you understand how this tactic works, you'll realize how deeply it can impact decisions and behaviors, especially in situations where you feel you have little control. After we've explored many complex and powerful psychological tactics, today I want to share with you an even more fascinating and profound method of influencing human behavior. Fear, then relief trick. This is a tactic commonly used in communication, negotiation, and even in personal relationships. When you understand how this works, you'll realize that it can deeply influence decisions and behavior, especially in situations where you feel there's no clear control. The fear then relief trick is a psychological technique that uses the creation of fear or tension, followed by relieving that feeling to make others more likely to agree with a request. The purpose of this tactic is to create worry, a sense of insecurity in the other person's mind, and then solve that tension, creating a feeling of relief. This relief, when combined with a change in emotional state, makes people more compliant and easier to persuade. When a person has just experienced fear or stress, the release of that feeling can bring a huge sense of satisfaction, and because of this, they are more likely to agree to your request or do what you want, simply because they want to continue feeling comfortable. To understand better, imagine you're in a negotiation. The other party starts talking about a situation you hadn't anticipated, maybe a change in a contract or an unexpected cost. Their words cause worry, even fear, because you don't know if you can handle it. Then, they quickly offer a solution or reduce the situation, making you feel relieved and at ease. This feeling, this shift from tension to release, makes you feel grateful and more willing to agree with their request. The immediate alleviation of your anxiety makes you feel like you've escaped a bad situation, and you're no longer clear-headed enough to thoroughly think through the consequences of that decision. One of the reasons this tactic is so effective is that it leverages a strong shift in emotions. When people experience fear, they often feel a lack of control and lose their ability to analyze clearly. But as soon as that feeling is relieved, they feel they've regained control. And at that moment, they are more willing to accept what you present. We often see this tactic in advertising, where companies or brands cleverly use fear to drive consumer action. For example, in insurance advertising, a company may depict dangerous situations like accidents, illnesses, or unexpected life events. These images trigger anxiety and fear in the viewer's mind, making them feel that they need to do something to protect themselves and their family. Then, immediately, the advertisement offers a solution: buy insurance to alleviate the fear and insecurity. While the solution may be necessary, the fear then relief tactic has been used cleverly to create urgency and easily persuade the viewer to buy the product simply because they want to escape the anxiety. This tactic is also common in personal relationships, especially in toxic or controlling relationships. Someone might intentionally create tension or anxiety, then suddenly reduce it, making the other person feel relieved and more likely to comply with their request. For example, a person in a relationship might say something that makes you feel worried or insecure. Like, "If you don't do what I ask, I won't talk to you anymore." At this point, you feel a lot of tension, and as soon as the other person changes their attitude or eases the discomfort, you feel like you've escaped a very stressful situation, and you will be more likely to agree to their demands to maintain that comfort. A key characteristic of the fear then relief tactic is the sudden psychological shift between stress and relief. This is a powerful factor in manipulating emotions. The relief after fear is dispelled makes people feel grateful and easy to manipulate. In a relationship, when someone creates anxiety and then calms it down, the other person may feel they need to do something to avoid being in that situation again. It's the drastic change in emotions, from anxiety to safety, that creates a strong psychological effect, making people more willing to agree with the other person's demands without thinking critically. This technique can also be applied in business negotiations. When a leader or negotiation partner creates a very difficult or unfavorable demand, they may cause tension and anxiety in you. Then, they offer a less problematic agreement to resolve the situation, making you feel relieved and more likely to accept the deal. This can lead you to agree to a decision that isn't entirely beneficial to you, simply because you feel the shift from stress to relief as a reward. However, this tactic also has a downside and can be abused in unhealthy relationships. When someone uses the fear then relief method to manipulate, they may make you feel anxious, insecure, and incapable of making decisions on your own. They create stress in the relationship only to relieve it later, making you feel that you need to meet their demands to feel safe. This can lead to dependence and a lack of control in the relationship, making you an easy target for manipulation. To recognize and deal with this tactic, you need to be aware of your emotions in each situation. When you feel anxious or tense, take a moment to ask yourself, is this feeling being created by someone else to manipulate me? Is the relief I'm feeling a tactic to make me agree to something I don't really want? When you recognize this tactic, you'll be able to hold your ground and avoid getting caught in the emotional manipulation cycle. Lastly, always remember that drastic emotional shifts, from anxiety to relief, can make you easily agree to things you don't actually want. However, if you understand and recognize the fear then relief trick, you won't be manipulated, and you'll be able to make more informed decisions with confidence and control over yourself. This tactic is not only a powerful tool in communication and negotiation, but also a reminder of the importance of awareness and understanding in every situation. You can close your eyes now. Let your thoughts drift away like mist. If your mind still wants to wander, let it continue its journey to the next video, where we will dive deeper into the mysteries of the soul. And if your body is tired, let this sound lull you into sleep. No need to try. Just breathe and remember, everything you are looking for is already inside you.